So to start off with, what I want to do is show you guys how to design a case, right? And last day I talked about basically laying one out. So I'm just going to draw it out once again. Okay, so really quickly, if I'm going to make a 3D case, right, and I'm drawing this in a drawing to make sure that I know how to figure out the sizes, right? So I know that I'm going to end up with some type of plug-in, and I know at the back end I'm going to put the hole so that I can actually plug the USB cable into it, right? Now I'm going to draw a quick exploded view. So I've got a side piece there, a side piece there, my end piece there, my end piece there, and bottom, and I'll put a top up here. Okay, those are my 6 pieces I'm going to use. Now you have to measure out your project to figure out how big it is for the inside of your product, right? So when you put the transformer down, you put the circuit board down, you measure the height, you measure the length, you measure the width. You have to do that to be able to do this step here, right? So let's just say, for argument's sake, that I end up with 3 inches here, 1.25 inches high, and 2 inches wide, right? That's how big my case is going to be, right? Which means my circuit board and everything is smaller than that, right? So when I lay things out, that means my bottom piece here, or maybe this is the top because it's upside down, this one's going to be 3 inches by 2 inches, right? This one here is going to be 3 inches by 2 inches. That means my side pieces, they're still going to be 3 inches, but now the height of my project is going to be 1.25 inches. So I'm going to put my 1.25 inches here. Okay, this one will be 3 by 1.25 inches. Now the one that people get messed up on is they always screw up on the end pieces. And that's because when you actually build a case, right, the pieces sit, there's my side piece, there's my side piece, and you always forget the thickness of the plastic. And the plastic thickness is 1/8 of an inch, right, thick. So I have to consider that on this last piece. So I know the height's going to be 1.25 inches, right, but this length is not going to be 2. It's going to be 2 minus 1/8 of an inch for one piece of plastic, 1/8 of an inch for the other piece of plastic. So less 1/4. So this is actually going to be 1 3/4, right? And therefore that one's 1 by 1 3/4. You just need to know this in your mind, right? So that's step 1. You figured out how big the case is, how big the pieces need to be. Okay. Next step, I'm going to show you guys Adobe Illustrator. Before I start up Adobe Illustrator, you need to do one thing for me, and that is to make a default menu. And what I've done is I've done all the work. So what you have to do is go to Windows Explorer. You've got to go to the network, and I want you to grab, oops, and I'm sorry, computers and my network drive. I just got to map a network drive. So you all have K drive, and K drive will be assignments. And I'm just going to finish it. And on the K drive assignments, there's Electronics Lab. And in Electronics Lab, there's Initial Illustrator Settings. And you just need to double click this Adobe Settings Setup. What it will do is it will basically copy all the settings for the menus and things that I've created to make this project really simple to do. Right? So it'll just go through, it'll copy everything. Okay, once it's done, okay, you can just close this all. Or immediately what you can do is, this is the template that you guys are going to use to add in Adobe Illustrator. So I'm just going to double click it, and it's going to start up. And what I've done is I've created basically the bed of the laser engraver for you guys. So it's completely done. It looks like that, right? And you know, if I just go to View, and I'm just going to go Zoom, so Fill Artboard in Window, and basically that's my screen now. That is the size of the laser engraver bed. And the laser engraver bed is 12 inches tall by 24 inches wide. So the biggest piece of material I can put in there is basically 12 by 24. So if you needed to create something or make a part, and I'll just use a quick example, for the automotive class, or no, the power mechanics class or do-it-yourself class, they have a weed eater and they don't have any gaskets for it. So we brought in the head and basically just drew the gaskets, cut them on a laser engraver. Right? So you can cut out plastic, you can cut out gasket material, you can cut out wood. If you've been in woodwork, you can go and take the top of a jewelry box, put on your own graphics onto it, burn them in, instead of hacking it away with basically with a burning tool. Right? So it's a neat way, and once you guys have used this thing, you can use it for other things. I've had kids go and say, look, you know, I just really want to put my name on the back of my iPhone. Okay, go engrave the back of your iPhone. Not hard to do. Okay, so here's basically where, yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't go too deep. So getting back to the project then. So if I go back to here now, I look at that and I've got 6 pieces. So in Illustrator, it's just a matter of here's a box, and I'm just going to start and I'll draw a box. And I know that that's going to be, let's say, the top. And I'm just going to go over here to width, and I know the top's supposed to be 2 inches, and I know the width is supposed to be 3 inches. Right? And that's the size of it. Now, the laser engraver works on color. So you have to have the right colors. So what you do is when you click on this, there's this one box here that I've created called Style. And in the Style, there's one for red. Okay? And when you click on that, what it will do is it will just turn it to red. Right? And it's hard to see right now. Right? But the neat thing is, and I'll just show you quickly so you understand it, when I go File, Print, okay, you can see the red on here. This is the laser engraver bed. It selects the right printer right away. And when I hit Print, what it will do is bring it into the laser engraver software that looks like this, and it's already in red. And the laser engraver picks up on that color. Right? It has to be a specific setting. I've done all that work for you guys for this first project, so you know what it is. So it just works flawlessly for you. Right? So I'm just going to close this off, go back to this now. So once I've got my top, I can just take this, right? Control-C it, Control-V it. Here's my bottom. And what's neat is this program will actually line everything up, so you can actually see, you know, I'm going to line it up side by side. So there's my bottom, let's say, or my top. So there's top and bottom now. I just draw another line, and I know that this is going to be a side, so it's the same length as those. So now I just need to add here, it's automatically 3. I know this has got to be 1.25, right? And I copy it, Control-C, Control-V it. I know, and once you get, I've done this once, you're going to go, okay, this isn't hard. There's that piece, and I'll just draw the bottom, and now the bottom isn't this size, but I'm just going to put it here, right? So there's my bottom piece. We know it's 2 for width. No, it's not. It's 1.75, and the height is still 1.25. Right, so there's my end, and I'll Control-C it, Control-V it to copy, and I'll just, oops, sorry. Oh, I just drew another one by accident. I drew another one by accident. Grab this, hang on, select it. Jeez, my demo just wrecked. There we go. Okay, there we go, and I'll just move it back into here, and I'll put the center to that. Okay, now, those are my 6 pieces. That's the first thing. So, now within these 6 pieces, I need to add things. So, for example, you have your transformer, and you have the actual legs for the transformer that plug into the socket. Grab my Vernier Calipers, and hopefully most of you guys have used these.
That thing's not.
Right? It's not accurate? That's out by a bit. Yeah, it's out a bit. Anyways, and what you do is, basically I'm going to take and say, well, the length of my prongs, basically, are 0.25 of an inch, so 1/4 of an inch, and the thickness of the prongs are 0.6. So, draw a new box. Right, it comes up, and I said width is 0.6 of an inch. No, it's 0.06, right? 0.06, right? And the length is 0.25. Okay, so there's my prong. Control-C it. Oops, not Control-V it. Edit, undo.
Oh, man.
Control-C it. Now, I could paste it over, but I've got to get this distance between them right? And now you got to do a bit of math. That's a pain, right? So we don't want to do the math. So what we can do is, instead of pasting it and trying to figure it out, we can go up to Object, Transform, and Move. And the screen comes up, and I'm going to move it a set distance. Vertically, I'm going to move it nothing, so up and down. Horizontally, though, I want to move it, and I'm going to measure from inside to outside of this, because I'm going to move it from center to center. Okay, so inside to outside, this might be a little harder to actually do. Okay, so inside to outside, I'm at exactly 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch spacing, that makes it pretty easy. I just come into here, put 0.5, right? So it's going to move it 0.5 over. I can go a preview so I can see where it's going, and I'm just going to hit a copy, and now I've got 2 of them. Okay, now those 2 obviously aren't centered, and where on the case they're going to go is a little bit harder now too, because you're going to have to take your piece of your transformer and everything, measure out whereabouts on the plastic it needs to go. If it's too high, when you make the case, the transformer is going to sit there. You can't put the top on. If it's too low, at the back end, the USB thing isn't going to fit, right? So it's a little bit of juggling and a little bit of, problem solving as to how far it has to move, right? You obviously want it dead center, okay? So next is, I'm just going to take the two of them. Oops, let me just take the two of them. And I'll be honest, it's the only thing I didn't do. I'm going to group it. Okay, so now when I grab them, I actually move them together at the same time. Okay, so I've moved them together at the same time, right? So I can move it. Now, I want to center it, and then I can move it up and down, right? So I select that one. I select the outside box, and here's this thing, and this is called Align to Key Object. And I'm going to align the center, those guys, to the outside box. Sorry, edit, undo, move. Okay, so align to key object. I'm going to select this one, and it highlights bigger. And then what I can do is up here, I can go center, and you can see it barely moved. And if I go center up and down, it'll move that way. If I want it centered to the top, I can move it there. Right? So you will have to figure out the height that you want these. What I would do then is just move them. Okay, let me just move it. Let's say that's the height that they're going to end up at. Right? Highlight them again. I'll just do this once more. Align to key object, and then I'm going to center them that way. Okay, and it actually was centered, so I don't have to do it. Okay, there's that. Now the USB port out the bottom. Grab a box. Again, I got to figure out whereabouts, and this is called whereabouts it's got to be. Right? This height of it and width of it. So I look at my USB. Somebody got their project handy? Really handy? Brian, give me that USB connector right there. So I just measure it out and go, okay, well, the opening has got to be, there's my opening, and it's at 0.565. So width is 0.565. Height, I've got it at, don't ever copy all my numbers, okay, is 0.25, so a quarter of an inch. Height is 0.25. Right? And again, go center it. So highlight that one, highlight the outside one, go up to Align to Key Object, select the outside one. This guy, I'll just center it, and now I got it centered. And again, the height will vary. Okay? There's my case. That's pretty much done. Red means cut. It will cut all those out. Now, you want to put some text on it. So first set of text you might want to put down here, I might want to put, I don't know, 5V output. For 5 volts output, right? Then I can obviously center it and everything else. You might want to put some graphics on it. So if I just start up Internet Explorer, you guys will like my little pun here or play on graphics. I'm going to put in pair. I'm putting in pair images. And I don't want color images. I want black and white only, because this thing works really well in black and white. Okay? And I'm going to take, oh there, that's a perfect pair. Okay, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go into Adobe Illustrator, Control-V it. Whoa. Whoa, that's way too big. Hang on. Edit. Undo. That one didn't work. So let's go back, grab a different one. So much for that pair. Oh, hang on. It was just a really big image. No, it's a really small image. That'll work. Hang on a second. Copy it. Let's go back. Let's just zoom out. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to fit on screen. Control-V. Control-V. There. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, that's the first graphic in a long time that didn't work.
Oh, way to go.
So, go back. Should have tested. Tell you what, I'll go back to the one that I actually used. Which was, no, this one. Doesn't matter. No, inappropriate. Inappropriate. Okay, Control-V it. There's my pair. Okay, and I'm going to put it on the top of my graphic, and I got to make it a bit smaller because I need the red to show. Right, and then I can take it. I'm just going to zoom into the window right here, and again I will center it. So grab that one, grab the outside one, align to key object, grab the outside because I want it centered, and I'll just go center there and center there. Okay, so when I go back to view and zoom, fill artboard and window, there we go. There's my basic layout. Now, depending on the piece of plastic that I give you, and the color and the size, you might have to manipulate these to fit on the piece of plastic. So let's say I gave you a brand new piece that was 12 inches wide, 24 inches long. What I would ask you to do is take all these on this artboard basically and move them so that they're one underneath the other, and try and get all of them one underneath the other so that they all fit, and you use up only so much of the plastic. A piece of plastic is worth 80 to 90 bucks, probably 100 bucks with taxes and shipping. With Austin, okay, it's worth. I figure about 100 bucks. For those who've been in woodwork, you know how to do a board foot or a square foot. You take that, divide it by 144, right? You get your number of square feet, right? There's 4x8 sheet of plastic. There's 32 square feet in a sheet of plastic. $100 divided by 32. Geez, it's about $3 for a square 12 by 12. You guys are going to use this piece probably 4 by 12, right? So that's 1/3. So it's about $1. So every time you guys cut on the laser engraver, it's probably about $1, maybe $1.50, right? Just so you know. Okay. So I don't want you wasting the plastic. Is what I'm getting at. So once you're all set up like this, it's literally just go File, Print. Again, I've set it up so it defaults to the right printer right away when you go over there. It shows it in here, and I just hit Print, and I go and select this icon, and there's my stuff. Right? Now the next thing basically is just go to Settings, and because there's different settings now, I got to go to Plastics, and I got to go to Acrylic, and I got to go Cast Acrylic. The problem is you don't know how thick the plastics are. So what I'm going to do is when you get to Settings, there will be a defaulted materials database in here called Electronics class. And you'll just pick the plastic, and then you don't have to change any settings. Otherwise, if you have different thicknesses of materials in this class, you have to guess. And the way it works under manual control is you can measure the thickness, but it's the settings, and I'm just going to explain this right now, is on here, red means cut. I know to cut through 1/8 inch plastic, right? This power needs to be, let's say, 100%, and the speed might need to be 7%. Okay? And then you hit Set. I know that for engraving, which is basically just skimming the surface, the power might only need to be 30%, and the speed can be 100, because all you're doing is scratching the surface of the material. So depending on the material you're using, these numbers will change. But because this program works off a color, you must have red and black, right, for it to work. Sorry, Greg? Blue is there for if you need another color. So for example, let's say you're going to make a case, and I'll go back to here, right? Let's say you're going to make a case or something that's going to be like this. I need to put a slot, and I'm going to make this really large. Maybe I needed to make a slot like, or let me go with this. Maybe I want to make a slot in a piece of plastic. Now this is really exaggerated, right? And I want to cut this notch out, and say that plastic is, 4 inches by 2 inches. And I want to put another piece of material in it like that, right? I would need red for cutting, black, and let's say I had some names on here, let's say I put 5V here or whatever, for text. I would need another color and a setting to make that go deep, right? So in my settings, let's say I wanted to go, let me go back to this. Let's say I want to go 3 different things then, I need 3 different colors. So here, to cut through the plastic, but not cut, to cut through the plastic, I would have 7% at 100. Maybe to go through 3/4 of the way, I might have the power at 100% still, but my speed might be 25%, which means it wouldn't go as deep. Right? So the way the laser works is it sits there and just pounds with a laser beam the material, and the deeper, the slower you go, and the more power, the deeper it goes. The faster you go, it won't go as deep. So it's a bit of a crapshoot to actually get the right depth that you want. And that's why I've worked out the numbers, and I pretty much have them figured out as to the material you guys are using. Okay? So that's basically how to set up for a case. and basically how to get all the settings in the laser engraver settings. The first person that's ready to do this, I will basically give you guys a demonstration on the laser engraver itself. Okay? Any questions on this at the moment? Okay.